Wackademia, the wacky world of academia, and there's so much happening. This is the culture wars right in our face every day. A number of New South Wales schools have changed the word grandparents to grandfriends to be more inclusive. No, it's not inclusive, folks. It's not inclusive. It's just idiotic. To be more idiotic, they have changed it from grandparents to grandfriends. Rita and James. Grandfriends. Have you got any grandfriends out there?
I've got lots of grand friends. You're one of my grandest friends of all. I don't know what this word means. It doesn't mean anything at all, and it means even less than this ridiculous word now that we hear so much of, inclusion. You know, as soon as you hear the word to be more inclusive, or we're going for inclusion, you know, that there is some huge Orwellian nonsense that is coming down the pike at you at 80 miles an hour and about to steamroll you with just something that sounds, oh, this sounds really, really nice. Oh, yes, grandparents, grandfriends, you know, we don't want to offend anybody. Who could be offended? Who could be offended? Well, of course, we know what this is all about. This is about just that salami strategy. Slice, 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 slice. Just changing the culture, millimeter by millimeter, inch by inch, until there's nothing left.
And one of the biggest threats against Marxism, socialism, communism, whatever you want to call it, that far-left ideology is the family. So it's no coincidence that so many of these attacks, whether it's chest feeding or birthing parents or grandfriends or all sorts of other nonsense that we see and have become almost normalised now because we hear it so often, they centre around the family, and we've got to call it out. And you're right, the left take these words that are positive words like inclusion and diversity and tolerance, and they almost twist them into something where people know when they hear it, it's not
well,
genuine.
You know what it's
it
like,
means
Rita?
something else.
You know,
it's like exclusion.
Rita, I mean,
it actually means
of all of these.
Yeah.
The king of all of these words, of course, is equity, which is that, you know, word that you hear thrown around all the time.
Well, equity is communism.
It's communism, and it's, you know, it's equality of outcomes. It's not equality, which America is based on,
opportunity.
And opportunity, but it is about, you know, leveling up everybody so that they're at the same, you know, same base. But it's also about, you know, it's about playing with the language, and they want to keep everybody offside and, you know, nervous. And can I say this? And so, you know, when people, like normal people, are saying, "Can I say grandparents now?" You know, and they're nervous about it because, I don't know, I saw a headline somewhere, you know, that just shows how bonkers this whole thing has gotten.
And
absolutely.
I was speaking to a nurse who said this is not bonkers. This is fairly widely accepted where she works. I won't name the hospital, but I was shocked by that because I thought, you know, they try to push this in, but as soon as there's a bit of resistance, there's a bit of media coverage, they do back away a little bit. But no, if you don't resist, this will become normal. And what you're used to and what you prefer will be bigotry and exclusionary, and you've got to fight it. If you don't fight it, you're going to get more of it.
Well, hundreds of speaking of parents, Rita and James, hundreds of emails. This is in Virginia. I don't know if you'll get there on your whistle-stop tour, but hundreds of emails have exposed angry parents in Virginia over the state's critical race theory and COVID-19 mask rules inside the classroom. So there was an email dump, and it came out that parents are actually furious about all this stuff, the gender-bending LGBT campaigns, what they refer to as perverted tutors, brainwashing on critical race theory. So the parents are aware of it. But you're right, James, that people go quiet. But the only way to stop people going quiet is for people who do have a voice in the media, such as ourselves, to actually speak up and say, no, 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 this is not acceptable. You must raise your voice in your classroom because...
And it's about, Rowan...
Yep.
No, I was going to say, you know, and it's about, you know, ordinary people out there feeling like they have, you know, the ability to go out there and not get smashed because they're not alone, because actually that they're not crazy. What they're thinking is actually correct. What the schools are trying to do is wrong. Of course, Virginia had a great result there because, of course, you know, the Republicans won the governorship very much on these issues of what was going on in the schools and this really far-left, radical, critical race, gender theory stuff that parents were just absolutely fed up with because the kids weren't learning anything.
And I tell you, when we were in Florida, that was something that came up over and over again when we were talking to people. They were saying, we are grateful to the governor because he kept the schools open. He allowed students to mask if they wanted to, but they weren't forced into masks. And he also is keeping out this critical race theory, this radical gender theory out of schools. And Florida, I'm sure you'd be happy to learn, is now going to ban some of this medical transitioning for under 18s. So what we were told it never happens, but it does. And Florida has said not in our state. So we need to see more of that across America and hopefully across Australia soon, because none of this stuff that we're talking about is just exclusive to America. It's happening in Australia.
And it's really important that you have political leaders like Ron DeSantis, and we should talk about him in a second, who actually step up and are prepared to fight the culture wars, because you have to fight. Conservatives have no choice other than to fight the culture wars, otherwise they will be wiped out. And the failure of the Morrison government and the hesitancy of the Dutton opposition to get really involved with these issues and say, no, we're on the side of traditional Australia, we're on the side of the parents, and we will fight tooth and nail. We won't say, oh, no, it doesn't matter if it's woke or too woke. We will fight tooth and nail to protect the interests and the values of traditional Australians and, of course, where you are Americans. And that's what you are seeing.